So when were your kids diagnosed?
They were diagnosed when my daughter was in sixth grade and my son was in fifth grade.
And how has school been like for them?
Well, my daughter, it wasn't quite as bad for her. She's actually struggles more with dyscalculia, with the math aspect of it. So hers was more in that regard, and a lot more visual issues as far as letters jumping around and things like that. But her reading was fairly strong, so she managed okay, and we had she had some IEPs and different assistance for test taking and time and things like that. So she sort of managed with it not being too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Then when Connor came along with his, it was a big difference. He was very, very, very dyslexic, and it was uh, it was a very different thing to see. He is very intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was quite able to master the fine art of deception for a long time. He could read because I'd read to him so much that he had lots of words memorized,
Mm-hmm.
and he could relate back comprehension wise because he was such a careful listener and things along those lines. So he kind of had us sort of not fooled, but we weren't quite sure what was going on. And then as content got more in school, like in fifth grade and things, then he started to really slow down because he couldn't read it.
And how when did he get interested in computers and when did he start working with computers?
Oh, that was he really, sort of in junior high a little bit because it was that, not like now, but
Mm-hmm.
because he's 22, but so they had just different kinds of things in class, typing, computer typing, and learning how to do things and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it started necessarily with computers as much as it did with other art form. He loved music. He was really into making things. When he was little, he would call it contraptions. He would just make all these different kinds of things. And sometimes they were really amazing. Or he would sit and draw. And he was 8. We went to Disney World and he drew a picture of Goofy. And I kept saying to him, "Where'd you copy that from?" And he goes, "I didn't copy it." I said, "You copied it. You can't have drawn that." He goes, "No, I did." So he was just very artistic that way, and then he kept saying, "I want to be a sculptor." He would say things like that, and then he sort of, I think he found the computer to be fascinating and much much more forgiving than having to have pencil and paper and do tasks like that.
Sure. And what does your daughter do nowadays?
Oh well, she's a new mom.
Oh, so
She's
that's your current occupation.
her current occupation is mom, actually, perfect occupation. But prior to, she's home now. Bryson is adorable, my first grandchild, and he's 2 months old. And she is a Head Start teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She teaches the children 3 and 4 year olds from homes that are the Head Start program that the government has, homes where kids need a Head Start. And she actually is responsible for the children first getting recognized for early intervention,
Mm-hmm.
not children who have very visible or very noticeable LDs,
Yeah,
but because they're so young, they're just starting to pick up on them.
sure.
So she's actually responsible. Usually within her class, there's 3 teachers in her classroom.
Mm-hmm.
She's responsible for, generally there's 3 or 4 children who are just starting to be identified. So she prepares their IEPs and she works specifically with them as well as the other children, but she makes sure she adapts the lessons and things for them. So she's, it's kind of like
Yeah.
she's she's teaching what she is. So that
And
works out real well.
what school is it that she teaches at?
Well, it's our Berks County here in Pennsylvania. Berks
Okay.
County Intermediate Unit is what runs our Head Start programs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all throughout at different schools, but she's actually at the Berks County Intermediate Unit, the Education Center. They have several classrooms right there. So that's where she was at. She's taking her year off for maternity.
And how have you dealt with their learning differences over the year? Do you have any special tactics that you've discovered?
Oh, yeah. Well, I write about a lot of those on the blogs. I try to give some tips to moms and dads out there so they
Mm-hmm.
don't get too frustrated, because it can be a frustrating thing for a parent too.
Yeah.
When you're not someone who has it, in the beginning, before you really know what it's all about, you get you get as frustrated as they do,
Mm-hmm.
and also not knowing what you should do. I happen to be an educator. I've been a teacher for 32 years, so I did have a little more tools to operate with.
Yeah.
But when it's your own child, it's different, always.
And
But
how did you find out about Friends of Quinn, and what do you like about it?
oh, well, I found out about Friends of Quinn because they contacted Connor, your film crew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Contacted Connor. He was, I guess, one of the first people that they talked to do a video
Mm-hmm.
for the site. And then he did that, and then they interviewed me.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that time, I think that Becca saw it, and she said, "Hey, do you want to write some stuff for our blog?" And I said, "Sure." So we did, and thus it has begun.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love being able to offer advice. I love being able to talk about what kinds of things we've done. I think it's a great place for anybody to come to,
Mm-hmm.
for regardless of what their situation might be.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Denise. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Quinn. It's so nice to meet you.
You too.